All right, so we're going to do some quick exponential models in Excel, and we're going to build it from scratch here, and we'll see maybe why they're called exponential models. But all right, so the first thing we're just going to do is put in day, and then number of cases, and over here we're going to put in some parameters, initial pop, and then growth rate. And the initial, we could say initial infected, etc., but we're going to put in 5, and the growth rate. Each one of these is going to infect 3 people over 14 days, so the growth rate per day is going to equal 3 over 14. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. And the day is 1, and then we're going to do equal A2 plus 1 just to create a counter here. You could have just dragged it down, but there are reasons for learning how to do counters, and we're going to drag that down to 40 days, which means we go to 41. So we're going to look at a fortnight. No, fortnight's 2 weeks, 40 days, whatever. And then the number of cases, well, it's going to be, in the first one, it's going to be the initial population, but the first thing we want to do is name these, just because I want to learn how to do that. So we're going to click on formulas, and we're going to create from selection, and OK. And so now our formulas will be, this will make more sense. So in day 1, it's just going to be equal to our initial population. And then in day 2, it's going to be equal to what was above, because there were 5 before, plus what was before, times the growth rate. Okay, so now we have 6.07. We could round that to ones, but we won't. We're not going to round that to integers. And then hopefully when we drag that down, so in the second day, then it's going to be the same. We would again do equal what was there before plus what was there before times the growth rate. Okay, we could also do equals what was there before times 1 plus the growth rate, and this is the more common form that you're going to see. All right, and then if I just double click on that, it goes sliding on down and creates our exponential growth, and you see we go from 5 to 9,700 in a fairly short period of time. And so we're just going to select those two. We're going to go to the bottom and we're going to insert a chart. And there we go. And this is our exponential chart that we're used to seeing. So that's very quickly the creation, the sort of the dynamics of an epidemic model. Of course, it's a perfect fit. If we right-click on our points here and we add a trend line and we make it exponential, oh, it fits exactly. And we're going to display an equation in the R square. And it's a perfect fit, of course, because it's an equation. We just created it from an equation. And so that's our exponential model right there. How do we fit those, etc.? When we get real data, we're going to get into that in a minute or two, or in a module or two. I'm going to drag this up so you can see that. There's our exponential model. We're also going to drag that down a little to see why exponential models scare everybody. Start off with 5 cases, and then we have 20 days out, we have 1.5 million cases, another 20 days out in 2 months. So that's why you started hearing things like, oh, in 2 months we could have 1.5 million cases, because these were the parameters that we had. You had 5, 10 cases someplace and a daily growth rate of 0.21. And that was pretty scary stuff. With that, we're going to go to File and Save. And I'm going to call this first. If I could type, it would be great. exponential. And save it, and now we're done.